tonight for Live Before Lock show, I guess we call this. So there's been some news. Basically, 5 minutes after I went off earlier, DeJounte Murray was ruled out. But that's okay. We have updated projections. And again, because I'm here, we'll show the projections for just tonight's slate. Again, if it was just Bobby and I were both here, I wouldn't do it. But because I'm here by myself, I will do this and we'll literally build lineups and take a look at the slate based on the updated sheets. So let's go ahead and share those. What is going on, guys? So it does look a little different, right? So if we just take a look and we sort it by value score up over here, you now see that there's kind of a standout. You know, earlier we didn't think there was kind of a standout pay up that you really wanted to play. But now with DeJounte Murray out, not only that, but I think there was somebody else out for Atlanta also. Nonetheless, Trae Young is standing out as basically, I don't want to say a lock, but clearly the best play on the board. And he's being owned accordingly, but nonetheless, he still does remain the best play on the board. And Rich, we'll get to hockey in definitely a few, but we will definitely do it. So I wouldn't have too much of a hard time at the top, Nick. I mean, I think Trae is the best play. However, I mean, you could argue that he's going to be a little high owned. But I mean, I definitely think that he's the best play. So now I'm also looking at all this Detroit stuff popping, which I wasn't expecting. So now not only do you have Wiseman, but also Ivy and Bagley showing up as pretty darn good plays here. So we'll take a look at possible stacks with those. But it's for the best plays is before we get to the values are Trae and Tatum, Kawhi, Shea, Kristoff. Still Ingram looks pretty good. What happened to Sandro? So Sandro is not. Oh, this is FanDuel. Oh, no wonder. I was wondering why Sandro didn't look like such a great play. All right, so let's look at DraftKings. It looks pretty similar. This is what I was wondering. So yeah, so Trae does again look like a huge standout, but just like the numbers look a little bit bigger over here. So Trae and then the Ingram, that thing we talked about a little earlier. Ivy, Wiseman, not so much Bagley here on DraftKings. But when you look at point per dollar, it's still those same guys up at the top of the list, both from San Antonio, Keita Bates-Diop and Sandro. And I think they're both pretty good. I'm not in the mood to really fade either of those guys. The one that's interesting is AJ Griffin. I guess he's taking over the starting role for DeJounte Murray. And he's showing up at about 6x, which is decent, but it's not, you know. That one kind of scares me, I have to say. But nonetheless, it's going to rate out to be a good play. And Bogdan Bogdanovic is obviously going to rate out to be a good play also. So all these Atlanta guys, relative to what they were at noon, is obviously getting big bumps here. You know, Capella, DeAndre Hunter, even Sadiq Bey. Valanciunas, you're asking. I mean, he looks okay. I don't have him as good of a play as Wiseman, for example, but not by a lot. And Wiseman is definitely going to be higher owned than Valanciunas. So yeah, I mean, I can certainly see that. But you see, I have all these different centers. You know, Claxton, Valanciunas, Jared Allen, Capella, Carter. So it's not like anybody's like that much better than the others. And remember, Sandro is going to be taking up, you know, probably your first priority spot. So if you want to play two centers, I mean, it becomes a little bit more difficult. Marcus Smart still is kind of a fringe value over here as well. Aside from that, it looks like the players that we like are very, very similar to what they were before. But let's take a look at like the stacking situation, because let me pull that up again. I don't even have my DraftKings thing up here. And then we'll build some lineups with SaberSim as well. So I didn't really have a chance to do it, but for those of you that are going to play golf tonight, I posted my thoughts in the Discord. It's just not a regular DFS slate where you can just like run projections and run through optimizers. You have to make like 12 rules to make it work. It's kind of like an NCAA survivor pool contest. I mean, you just have to make sure that it's almost less important to like who you take than what regions you take from. Like, just make sure you don't like take guys from the same foursomes, and certainly make sure you don't take them from the same even eightsomes. So you're basically going to be writing, like, first of all, 8 rules for each quadrant of 8, because what you have to have is, of your 6 golfers, you want all of them to have clear paths to the elite 8 without running into each other, and also have at least 4 of them be able to get to the final 4 without running into each other. And even doing that is difficult to set up a lineup that fits those criterion. So figuring out who to play is I mean, that's not even half the battle. I mean, you have to fill it out in the right way that you don't have people running into each other. So I'll just go over this in 2 seconds. So again, rule 1 is going to be, max 1 of each quadrant of 8. So that's 8 rules. And then you also want to make sure that you have some participation from both sides of the bracket. So I would say max 4 from this set of 32, and max 4 from this set of 32, right? And then again, like, and there's a couple of more that you have to throw, but those are the basics that you have to put in. So you have to be at least 10 rules to get things going. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Brandon, for my horse. Yeah. With respect to stacking, so I mentioned earlier the Orlandos. So let's just take a look and see if they still rate out to be as good as they were before. So not quite as good as they were before, right? So Carter looks like sort of a good play, but Chero and Wagner, they're just kind of okay. They're not exactly guys you want to prioritize. So in a weird way, if you were going to play Orlando, you'd almost want to stack. Like, you want to play Carter with Banchero. That's the way I look at it, at least. And even Wagner. When I have plays that are kind of fringy plays, I'll say that, you know what, I'll only play them if I'm stacking. And likewise on the other side, you have Washington, where you have kind of fringy. Well, I wouldn't say Porzingis is a fringy play. He's a good play, and Beal's a good play. So yeah, I can make the case for that. What you do, like one build where you play Beal with a couple of Orlandos, and another where you play Porzingis with a couple of Orlandos, and then you let the optimizer fill in the rest. I think that's very, very reasonable, actually. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to do that in about 5 minutes. The other one, Detroit, Atlanta. Now, this obviously has now become kind of the main stack of the day, right? Because now you have Trey with also some of this other stuff, like Bogdanovich, Capella. You can play all these with all these Detroits, like Wiseman and Ivy, right? And even Killian Hayes. So you could actually do kind of the full Monty here. Yeah. And play like Wiseman, Ivy, and Hayes, for example, with Young and maybe even one other Atlanta, and basically have a full freaking stack over there. So I might want to do that. Maybe you'll play Trey Young with those 3 Detroits and let the optimizer fill in the rest. That could be something to do. Cleveland, Brooklyn, again, I just get nothing. Maybe just your one-off Jared Allen. San Antonio, New Orleans, I think the same thing applies. I mean, all those San Antonio guys, you could stack them all, Bates, Diop, and Sandro. And then you could even pick kind of maybe like Trey Jones. And then on the other side, we already identified the New Orleans guys that look good. You could play Ingram, McCollum. You want to play Valanciunas? Go for it. You know what I mean? Like, that's fine. So you could play 2 New Orleans with those San Antonios and let that work, and then let the optimizer do the rest. Sacramento, Boston, like I went over in my earlier video, you could just, again, Tatum looks like a really, really good play. You play him alongside of Sabonis and then optimize the rest. I think, again, if you're going to spend for Tatum and Sabonis or Sabonis, that means you're probably not going to play Trey. So I would probably make sure to stack them, play them in the same lineup. And then in the last game, you have Oklahoma City and LAC. Same concept, I think. I think Kawhi and Shea both look like good plays, but because they're not quite as good of a play as Trey, what I'd probably do is play them together. And then also make some lineups with Shea and Paul George. So that's basically what I would do. That's what I'm going to do in a minute. So now let's do the same thing, I suppose, with FanDuel and see how that looks. So with FanDuel, and that's why I was looking at it first. It looks very similar. Trey is kind of a standout. The guys that are get upgrades on FanDuel seem to be Marvin Bagley. Like he's one guy that really stands out on FanDuel relative to DraftKings, and it's no surprise that he's going to be 45% owned as a result of that. But nonetheless, he does rate to be definitely a better play over on FanDuel. And when you look at it by points per dollar, I guess same thing. I guess you could also add John Collins is getting kind of an upgrade on FanDuel. As a matter of fact, like all these Atlanta guys. So this is a full on. You could make a full on Atlanta Detroit stack on FanDuel and be well within your rights as a red-blooded American, so to speak. But let's take a look and let's just run a straight Saber Sim build with just what we have, and let's just see what kind of lineups we would kind of get to. Let's see. NBA. Well, let's start with FanDuel since we started with DraftKings before. So we'll upload to FanDuel and see what kind of lineups we get. So we always misspell Cam Thomas, so I have to go ahead and change that. So let's build 150. Just again, I'm not playing 150. I'm not playing at all, but just to see what we would get if you did play 150 with the defaults. A little more correlation for the hell of it, a little less sim diversity. And when you do a little less sim diversity, what you're doing is basically relying on your projections a little bit more and a little less on randomness. So let's see what we could come up with when that happens. So on FanDuel, I imagine we get 100% Bagley, but let's take a look. Yeah, so it's Trey, Bagley, Ivy, but you'll notice, it's like Stack City USA, like all these Detroits, all together, and I actually like that. I might actually play on FanDuel because of the way this is like the ultimate like sheet slate. Like with everything stacked. Look at all this. I kind of like this. Let me see if the FanDuel ones are kind of filled though. I imagine they're filled. Let me just take a look. I don't feel like playing on FanDuel. Yeah, that's pretty much all filled. Unless there's a 3,300 open. Great. All right, so that was FanDuel. As far as DraftKings, let's see if we get similar. I don't think it's going to be as egregious. In other words, I don't think you're going to get all the stacks of like just, for example, Atlanta and Detroit. See what it looked like if we build again 150, boom. Up goes the correlation, down goes the sim diversity, and let's just see what we got. And that would be very similar, although you'd be getting a little more of this AJ Griffin over here, but it's similar. It's Atlanta, Detroit, San Antonio, Atlanta, Detroit, San Antonio. couple of one-offs of the Wendell Carter Jr., something like that. But this does look like a relatively straightforward type of slate. The only thing I would change is I would build some lineups with those kind of like leverage, those spend up stacks, those spend up one-offs, I should say. Not spend up, those spend up mini stacks. That's the only thing I would kind of do differently. For now, though, I want to save something. So let's I'm going to tweak all this one off for you guys. But let's just save what I have here, which is it's probably decent. I mean, I'm not going to do this at the end, but let's just say that we get the Bobby 5 power outage. At least I'll have like at least passable lineups in. Let me finish that. Oh, and I got to put my stuff up on Stake Kings if people want to buy any of that. So let's just put all these in. The top one in the 600. But again, these are just placeholders. And I'm going to do hockey. You feel free to fire up whatever questions you guys have about anything while I'm doing this, but I'm just kind of blazing along here. It's been a long day, but a lot of stuff going on, and I just want to get through this. Got dinner soon.
Oh,
What?
Did you drink?
I had two slices. Did you get my text?
Yeah, I just ate some stuff.
Yeah, I had 2 slices. I was going to wait. I was going to do the other at 7.
You could do it again. I'm saying I just ate though.
Okay. Okay, so that was the NBA. Let's let me get back to see if you guys have any questions. So let's pull up the hockey, see what that looks like if anybody cares. But listen, this is like voyeurism, right? You're seeing what I'm doing, and if you like it, you like it. If not, so the first thing I will notice is that you have the first thing I notice is you have this kind of neat little one-off from Philly. That's kind of interesting. It's kind of make a lot of lineups fly, and he's also on the number 1 power play line. So I bet you we're going to get some Philly when we run this stuff. But you have Ovechkin. Seems like he's getting the majority of the value here, but I don't really see too much else. Yeah, Strome is right there, so maybe the Washingtons will show up. Oh, you like the Tippett? Okay, there it is. So maybe we'll get him. 2 Winnipegs right near the front. That's pretty strong. So I imagine Winnipeg will show up. And then Florida's Reinhart and Verhey, those might show up. So that's what I'm expecting when I run this. I'm expecting to see some Winnipegs when they're shuffling right there. So Winnipeg, Washington, Boston. Yeah, Winnipeg, Washington, Boston, and some Philly. That's what I'm expecting. Let's see what we actually get. Because you never can quite tell. In basketball, you can always predict what you're going to get with the Saberson builds. Hockey, sometimes it's just kind of in a mood. So let's see what we get if we build here. We'll build 40 lineups. The 40 lineups. We will go with the 20 max. No, we'll go with the 20 max settings, which is pretty high correlation, pretty decent randomness, and let's just see what we would get. And then you always have to tweak a little bit with hockey because of the way the stacks play out. I'll show you. Let's go. Hurry up. No problem. So it actually, under team stacks, it's, see, what do I know, right? 52% Buffalo. Isn't that amazing? And then 22% St. Louis. This is why hockey's like impossible. No, it's not impossible, but it's like kind of cool, right? It's cool because you need the optimizer from the Saberson to put those correlative, numbers to work, Next thing I would do is I would check stack types. And yeah, so I don't know why. I keep getting these 4-2s littered throughout my lineups. I hate them. I like the nice, pretty. So I'm going to answer your question in a second, Scott, but we're going to deal with the hockey first. 4 zeros we don't want. That requires way too much to get right. And the rest looks kind of reasonable. And after we make that adjustment, does that change anything? Yeah, now you get more Washington. It gets rid of some of the Buffaloes. All right, well, that's fair enough. I think that's good. And we'll figure out what to put in the big buy in the second. So you want to lean on the late game to get off of the chalk from Atlanta. I mean, sure. But what I would suggest is to do both. And I'll go over that in a sec. And I kind of alluded to that before, Scott. So what I would suggest is something like this. And I'm going to give you an example. I'll show you exactly what I mean in a minute. Once I get my hockey dummies thrown in here. Yeah, like earlier today, I was going to be like all over Detroit or Red Wings. I don't know why, but they were making a lot of work. But so let me suggest kind of an alternative to just playing the late games to get off the chalk. How about, let me just make sure I'm in here. Let's see, hockey. Okay, we're good. All right. How about we do this? All right, we go back to NBA. And we'll lock in Kawhi and Shea. Okay. Let's lock in Kawhi and Shea. And then what we'll do is we'll build 5 lineups with Kawhi and Shea. I wonder what would happen. Would I get the Trey? I don't know if they would give me Trey. Let's just see what it would get me if I locked the 2 of them in. See, it would try to get me Trey anyway. That's like so interesting. And then just litter me with all kinds of other stuff. You get all kinds of AJ Griffin or something like that. Okay. But I think that's one thing you can do. You know, you could play your Trey and you could go ahead and play these late games. Okay. Like for example, or let me see. Instead of that, what if you played Paul George? So you played 5 lineups or something and just see what they look like, you know? And same type of thing. But it really wants you to play Trey. And I mean, I'm not really going to argue too much. I mean, he happens to be a very good player. And then let's see what would happen if now again, you could, if you really want to force yourself off of Trey, you could just like limit it. You could say max 60% or something like that. And I don't think that's that bad either. Like, so for example, let's just say we do the same builds. Let's go back. Let's go back to Shea and Kawhi. And then what we'll do is we will go to we're gonna go. Let's make sure we go max 60% of Trey. We will go max 60% of Trey. And then we'll do it that way. So we'll go Shea. And I might actually do this. I think it's a pretty good idea. Yeah, you got to go rewind, Malcolm, to get the core play. Sorry. I did it all the way at the beginning. Okay, so we go max 60% of Trey. And this is with, whatchamacallit, Shea and Kawhi. Yeah, that's going to work. It's exactly like that. I think that's going to work perfectly. And then we'll go, I want to save this because I think this is actually a pretty good idea. And then you get the one off with Jared Allen. Is Jared Allen playing? Yeah, he's going to play. right? And then we'll do the same thing. We'll go back to the Paul George build. So Kawhi, so Paul George and Shea, and we're still at max 60% of Trey. I just want to see what these look like. I think this is exactly what I'm going to do, by the way. I mean, I'll probably go. I don't know if I'm going to play Jared Allen, but and you play Paul George. You do that, and then go back. George, Shea, and then we'll go back to wait, did I get all the Shea in that one? I think so. Let me just make sure I did that right. Yeah, I did. Okay. So now we'll go back and we'll go Tatum and Sabonis. There's no way that it's going to let me play all three of those, right? Like if I play Sabonis and Tatum, they're going to really let me play Shea? I don't think so. Let's see. That requires a lot of. I mean, that's a lot of faith in the Trey play. Yeah, they really like this Trey play. So we stack Tatum and Sabonis, and then this is just what I like to do. So what I always like to also, if I'm going to play Sabonis, I will do other builds with Fox. So we'll play 5 with Fox. And then the other thing I probably want to throw in there, just for fun, remember we saw Marcus Smart in the in kind of like the sheets. So I want to make sure. Actually, you know what? I don't have to make sure I get Marcus Smart, but I want to build one like set with Tatum Smart. With Tatum and Smart together with like Sabonis. Really just try to stack that a little bit more. You don't have to go to the one with the Fox because I don't think that's quite as strong of a play as Sabonis, even, given the price. So see what we're doing here. Like we're using, you talk about process and all, we're using SaberSim, we're using its algorithms, we're using its lineup building ability, but we're also including our own kind of gut feel, about I really don't want like all this Trae Young, and not only that, but I kind of want to stack these guys also. I kind of feel like playing the late game a little bit, and you can do that and not completely give up, using the tools at your disposal here. Okay, so now let's go back to San Antonio, New Orleans. Now, again, I do want to also do a little bit of business over there. Now, the good thing is I don't have to identify to use San Antonio, so I could get them anyway. But I want to play like a couple of things, like a couple of, say, CJ McCollum, and that's what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do CJ McCollum and Valanciunas. We'll do a couple of those. I'd probably get the San Antonios anyway, right? I'm just presuming. So it's not like I have to request them. But yeah, I actually do, because look at this. I'm not really getting the San Antonios that I want. So I want to make sure that I get, somebody like a Devontae Graham, maybe even a Trey Jones or both. So let's actually do this. Let's just do exactly this. We'll probably get Sandro also. So there you go. So it's McCollum and Valanciunas. That's too many locked up. Oh, in the positions. Okay. Because point guard. I see. So it's probably not going to work if I identify the San Antonio. So let's just keep these New Orleans guys. So we're going to do 5 with McCollum and Valanciunas. Then we're also going to do 5 with, it's based on 50 lineups. Then we're going to do 5 with Ingram and Valanciunas. Boom. So Valanciunas is a low-owned shot here. You know what I mean? Like this could work. I mean, it could also blow up in our face, but you know, I mean, because he's certainly and again, all of these are playing max 60% Trey, so it's not like I need Trey to get there. But you know, he is a strong play, and I'll probably end up with 60% of them, you know, doing this nonsense. So let's get rid of this. And now let's go back. We don't need to do any more Atlanta, Detroit, you know, but we do need to do a little bit of this Orlando, Washington that we talked about. Okay, so let's do this. Let's play Vonchero, and Carter and Beal in 5 lineups, and then we will do Banchero, Carter, and Porzingis in 5 lineups. Okay. So let's do that. Max 60% Trey, as I mentioned before. So that's with, what's his name? That's with Beal. This one's going to be with Porzingis. And the only thing I'm worried about is not having a Franz Wagner. So, I mean, can't have everybody. But you know what I want to do just for kicks. Okay, that's Banchero and Wendell Carter. That's good. I think that's actually enough because now now I want to go back to, and then I have a couple of the non-stacks. So that's what I'm going to do. So what I'm going to do is I will take these stacked lineups. Boom. We'll keep those. And then let's go back to that original 50 that I had, which was where? Let's see. Let me go back. The original 50. Was it 624? 623 was it? No. Well, we can just do it all over again. I'll tell you my highest known guys in a minute, Taylor. That I can do, right? Yeah, that's legal. But I just don't know what they are yet. It's going to be Trey. Probably it might not actually be, but let's just see. So we're gonna build for 50, and then we're gonna only keep 5 because you already built 45 stacks, 45 lineups with nothing but stacks. Okay, so we'll just keep all this kind of as is. But we'll just take the top 5. 2 through 6. This is the way I build MME lineups. So we will take these 50. Can't get any more transparent than this, I guess. I'll tell you exactly my ownerships. I can't show you the exact lineups, but listen, if you've been following along, you've been able to see. And I still have to build the big ones. That's just the MME stuff. But so we will do this. Boom. I don't know exactly what I want to do with my. No, let's just put this over here. Let's put these over here. This over here. Some of that. Yeah, no problem. You know, I'm just kind of learning. We're all learning every day. Every day we're all learning. I'll put these up, and then yes, that will do it. Oops. Oh, I didn't wait for the. Okay. Now I pull up over here. Let me see what I did here. Yeah, this looks good. Let me just make sure. Let me see what my big one looks like. Yeah, I mean, it just looks pretty normal. Let me just see. McDermott. Looks fair enough. AJ Griffin starting. I mean, probably going to be good enough. Probably change the big buy-ins in a minute. All right. If there are no other questions, I'm going to get going. Good luck, everybody, and I'll catch up to you later.